I work for the Correctional Association of New York. I also work for Women on the Rise, telling her story part-time. I got involved with this work back in 2007. I took a advocacy and leadership training with Andrea Williams at the Correctional Association, and in 2009 I started to volunteer for the organization, and then within 6 months I became gainfully employed. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I've been incarcerated 5 times, from 17 to my late 20s. And after that last time, I decided I wouldn't go back, and I haven't. And that was because my daughter, I'm a single mom, so if I'm not there, there's no one else there. I took some college credits, some college classes, and I'm trying to get back into school now. I was at the Rikers Island Discharge Enhancement Program unit, which is Dorm 19, and there were about 200 women within this program, and you can only join if you were already sentenced. They would connect you with Center for Employment Opportunities and Women's Prison Association. And they also had training for maintenance, buffing floors and things like that. But I wouldn't exactly say it was so helpful. No. So I kind of got a job when I got out eventually from my previous work experience, and not through any of the programs they connected me to. Well, the training, for one, I think it would be hard for a woman to get into cleaning facilities like any man would. Like buffing floors, I couldn't even manage the machine, let alone, complete a job. I guess it was weird because, I don't know, it was hard to keep the class focused without joking, and so it's kind of hard because you're missing some of the information, and the trainer was getting off track, so it was kind of hard for him. But I did do that. I did complete it. I just did not look for work in that field. Women's Prison Association helped me with bettering the skills I already had. But that was upon my release, not prior to. They would talk to us and counsel us, but they couldn't provide computer training per se at the facility. So that made it difficult. But when I came home, they did bring me across the bridge. They provided me with car fare, and they told me about programs they had within their organization and where to go and when and what time and with who I'd be seeing when I would go there. And a lady helped me get my typing speed faster, and she gave me referrals for certain places, but I never found a job through her. But they tried to help. I guess things weren't all in place in my life where it can all fall in the order it's supposed to. So I can't say it's their fault that I didn't have a job, that I didn't get a job, but I think there's ways they could have made that more helpful. Trying to get the children back is really high on the list. Whether it's from a foster care agency or from a relative or someone they left a child with, because sometimes that person may not want to give the kid back, so it's not actually children's agency for children's services that they will have to battle with. It'll actually be somebody they trusted and loved. Um, I think this is around the board, but trying to get employment after being incarcerated is difficult for anybody. I would say getting the children back and obtaining housing. Luckily for me, I actually had housing in place, and being that I had to turn myself in, I knew how much time I was going to do, so I just paid the rent in advance, not to lose my apartment. Getting employment, finding employment, becoming trained or skilled, childcare, and like welfare, because they'll give them a very minimal amount of money to run around and do whatever they gotta do, and expect that amount to last for whatever amount of time, or send them to work for that very small amount of money, which makes it hard to get back on your feet and try to get where you need to be, opposed to going back to your old ways and engaging in criminal activity due to needing money. I kind of deal with that on a daily basis, like all my life, before, after jail, because I'm dark. But I try not to let that deter me from the goals I want to accomplish. I try to get around it, or around that person that's blocking me, if I can. In my case, yes, because I don't know, like, there's a lot of men that can do manual laboring jobs, that can do blue collar jobs, and I'm not one of those people. So it kind of leaves me out of a whole sector of jobs. But in terms of finding employment, what I found challenging is having to disclose that I was formerly incarcerated. In the beginning, in the first couple of years, that I still had probation, and so I had to report on a monthly basis. It came to the point where I had to go there 3 times a week. So I'm like, how can I get a job if I have to go to probation, see a counselor, and sit in a group? And this is 3 times out of a week. So that was extremely difficult and challenging. I definitely feel very lucky to be here. I find that they'll take jobs that they don't want, and do so because they have to. Opposed to a job that may have room for them to advance, or actually eventually get the job they actually want. They'll take jobs because of probation or parole, because they have to be working, and they'll just do it because they have to, not, or they want their children back for whatever reason. But yeah, I find that they're finding it hard. We run a support group with the other organization I work for, Women on the Rise, Telling Her Story, and a lot of the women don't have jobs, and it's hard to encourage them and uplift them because they feel so down about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's constant rejection back to back, and it does wear on them. You know what I mean? It takes a toll. It's an organization run by formerly incarcerated women, and they try to help currently incarcerated women. They write them letters, they'll send them Mother's Day cards, Christmas cards, they'll write letters if they have a request, like they're going to see the parole board and they would like a letter of recommendation, then they'll compose one for them, specifically tailored for them. But they have to be a member of the organization. They have an opportunity to become a member on the inside and recruit other members, tell them about the organization and what they've accomplished and what they look to accomplish and how they can help. And the way they can help is if we actually tackle some type of policy and they've been affected by it, they can speak out on it. They can send us written letter stating what their situation was in terms of the policy we're trying to take on. And I've been fortunate enough to have friends that could recommend me for a job. I had extensive medical work background, so when I did come out, since I've come out, the last time, I've held 2 jobs that were in the medical field. So I find myself lucky to have been able to do that. The first one was part-time. It wasn't, I needed more money, so I needed to work more hours, but that was impossible. And, I dealt with that for a while. But the second one, was full-time, and that was, they knew about my criminal background, but they knew that almost from the beginning, like from the time of the interview, and they didn't give me any problem about it or discriminate because of it. I admitted that. I let them know that. I don't even think it was part on the application. I kind of volunteered the information, but they did not treat me any less or make me feel any less because of it. So in my case, I can't say that that was used against me. I mean, I've interviewed at for plenty of positions, and I might have been turned down because of that, but of course they didn't disclose that to me, so I'm not aware of it. And here, definitely not. It kind of benefits me to have been incarcerated previously. I think that 2 things. Number one is training, right? But not just any training. Like, they need to have more of a variety of trainings. I feel. I visited Bayview Correctional Facility in downtown Manhattan, and there was a program there that the women would take calls, like a phone bank type of thing, or a call center. And I think the calls were for, if I'm not mistaken, Department of Motor Vehicles. And they would have a certain amount of information and had the ability to perform certain duties. Of course, not everything, because they're limited in what they have access to. But I found that program was really interesting and I thought was good, because upon their release, they could apply actually to work for the Department of Motor Vehicles, which is a state job. So I thought that was really good. So that type of training, not training where they try to fit everybody under that and everybody can't do that. Like, for instance, I am so not a blue collar person, you know what I mean? So I can't buff floors. I'm a pencil pusher, you know what I mean? And I don't know if you're aware of this organization called College and Community Fellowship. They're fighting to get the Pell Grants back into the prisons so incarcerated individuals can pursue higher education. So I think that would be helpful. I have a friend that came out of jail about 16 years ago. He went into jail when he was very young for murder. And upon his release, he was a credentialed alcohol and substance abuse counselor with a bachelor's degree. And they no longer have this. And he never went to jail again. He never committed a crime after the fact. and he's still a counselor. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very proud of him, to be his friend, and, he's the only person I know that was able to do that, and that was a long time ago, and now it's non-existent. Well, I recently heard about this program. I don't know how this would work with adults, with actual, older than 24 adults. It's called, I think it's Year Up or City Up or something like that, but it trains young individuals from 18 to 24, trains them for a year. They'll go to work in a corporate setting, and I guess they'll be paid with actual money. And I guess they help them learn how to become professionals in the corporate setting. I don't know if they grade them or anything like that, but at the end of the year, they might have earned that position, entry level into that field, which I think is an awesome program, and that could be done for a variety of fields, because everyone does not want to work in reentry. See, like, it benefits me that I've been incarcerated to work here and at Worth, but how about someone that wants to be or do something else? So they're not going to be afforded the same opportunity or the chance that I had, because in whatever field that may be, more than likely they will be discriminated against. I'm trying to think of an example to give you. So I had a friend that wanted to become a lawyer, and he had an extensive criminal background. I haven't been in touch with him lately, so I don't know if he ever got to take the bar, and if he did, would they actually let him practice law? I don't know. But that type of thing. Like, I don't think that they should bar people from any job because they want these people that have been previously incarcerated to, get back into society, be a productive member, and contribute, and they cannot do that if they're being turned away every turn. You know what I mean? So education and training is key, in my opinion. I got a job here, right? But I initially volunteered. I was able to do that because I had another income, which was unemployment benefits. If I wasn't receiving unemployment at the time, I probably wouldn't be able to just volunteer my time and not get paid for it, because it would be the sole income in my household, being that I'm a single mom. But being that I did have an income, I was able to do that. So if they like a certain organization, agency, company, I think that you have your best chance and can get your foot in the door by volunteering. Or take an internship. Some are paid in order to gain the experience, because prior to this job I didn't have experience in anything that had to do with reforming the criminal justice system, and I got it through doing that, and through that I showed them that I really wanted a job, and so they offered me 6 months down the line. So I did 3 months volunteer, 3 months internship, and then I started working. And I've been happy ever since. I've never been happier about my career, getting off the ground, and I never thought that I would be able to say that I love my job, and I do. I love both of them.